Aaron Rodgers pulled off a little bit of magic and a little bit of gamesmanship late in Sunday's Packers game, and it left the NFL fan base split between admiration, eye rolls, and that can't be legal. Here's exactly what happened, why the refs ruled it an incomplete pass, and what it means going forward. On the play, Rodgers was getting chased and looked like he was about to be sacked around midfield. As a defender grabbed him and he went to the ground, Rodgers made a throwing motion and the ball popped loose near the feet of his running back, Jaylen Warren. The on-field crew initially ruled it a fumble recovered by the Packers' Rashawn Gary. Then, after review, the call was reversed to an incomplete forward pass. That reversal erased a turnover and gave the Steelers back the ball. SI, why the reversal is defensible under the rules. Intentional grounding exists to stop QBs from just chucking the ball away to escape sacks while giving up no penalty. But the rules definition hinges on two things. One, whether the passer was in the pocket, and two, whether the pass was thrown toward the vicinity of an eligible receiver. If a passer releases a forward pass that lands in the area where a targeted eligible receiver can reasonably make a play, it's an incomplete pass, not grounding, even if the throw was wildly off target or the receiver wasn't in position to actually catch it. The NFL rulebook makes clear that a forward pass in the direction and vicinity of a receiver is an incomplete pass, not necessarily grounding. Operations.nfl.com. What the replay showed, and why crews can reasonably call it incomplete, slow motion angles make it look like Rodgers' arm came forward and the ball left his hand in a throwing motion, not a pure strip. Crucially, the ball went forward and landed in the neighborhood of Warren, an eligible receiver. Review officials therefore had a plausible rule-based path to overturn the fumble and rule incomplete. That's the narrow technical read that wins in replay rooms. SI. So why are fans furious? It comes down to intent and spirit of the rule versus letter of the rule arguments. To a lot of viewers, the play looked like a classic duck and chuck, a hurried fling with no realistic chance of completion, intended solely to avoid losing yardage on a sack. Critics argue that because Warren was preoccupied pass blocking and not in a position to catch the ball, Rodgers effectively exploited a loophole. He created the appearance of an attempt while manufacturing an incomplete instead of a fumble. That's what people mean when they say he found a sneaky way around the rule. On the flip side, veteran QBs improvise. Quarterbacks have for decades done everything from lob the ball behind the line to toss it off their foot to make a play look forward. The rule is written around vicinity and eligible receiver, and officials are bound by the text. If a forward ball goes near an eligible receiver, even if that receiver isn't ready, replay can and often does treat that as an incomplete pass. In other words, Rodgers played inside the rulebook, not outside it. Operations.nfl.com. Why this matters beyond the highlight reel. These are not just split-second judgment calls. They change games. A reverse turnover is a drive saved, momentum preserved, and potentially a few points on the board. For the Steelers, that one reversal altered the scoreboard calculus in a game that slipped away in the fourth quarter. For the league, it's the kind of play that prompts chatter about whether the intentional grounding language still matches today's improvisational quarterback play. SI. SI, could the rule be tightened? Sure, the NFL could clarify vicinity thresholds or add a provision that an eligible receiver must be in a reasonable position to actually make a play on the ball, not just nominally an eligible target. But rule changes come slowly, and the league usually prefers to let precedent accumulate before rewriting language that could create new unintended consequences. For now, it's on officials to interpret and on coaches to coach for it. Operations.nfl.com. What teams can learn tactically? If you're a QB or coach, you want to practice the legal version of throwing it away, selling the pass to an eligible target, keeping the ball trajectory convincingly forward, and avoiding the appearance of a pure strip. If you're a defense, you should put pressure on the QB every play and then swarm the ball on forced turnovers. Sometimes a strip will stick, sometimes replay won't. For officiating crews, consistent application is the immediate requirement. Pick a standard and stick to it game to game so teams and fans know what to expect. Finally, the human angle. Rodgers is a veteran who knows the fine print of the game better than most. Plays like this are part craft, part survival. Some call it clever, others call it cheating the spirit. Both reactions are understandable. What we can say for sure is this: the play was a textbook example of how modern QB improvisation and the letter of the law can collide on national TV, and it will be debated on sports feeds until the rulebook is either tested again or rewritten. If you want the very short take, Rodgers made a legal, if controversial, play inside the rulebook. Fans will argue about the ethics, the league will weigh clarity versus precedent, and coaches will either teach the trick or teach how to defend against it.